Hi guys, Virginia here and I'm back with another 12 by 12 process video for you today, and this one is for the SpiegelMom Scraps design team. And yeah, so I've got this cut file here. It's a large title, it says spring, and there's a whole bunch of flowers on the outside. I've designed this for the SpiegelMom Scraps free cut file, so it should be in the shop by now. So there's PNG files in the shop, and this will be one of the newer ones. So spring, it's not spring here, it's just gone into autumn, but that's okay, it's spring in most other parts of the world. And yeah, so I'm documenting spring because it is absolutely my favourite season, and that is because you can see all those flowers in the photos. I can make a rainbow in my garden. That's probably the best reason to love a season, I think. This is just some photos of my little garden at the last house we were in, and I really only had a tiny little garden. The house was fairly new, it had kind of been plopped on a big like paddock section, so there was no gardens, there was only this little rock garden around the deck, and I filled it to the absolute brim with annual flowers, because I just love colour in the garden. So these photos are kind of documenting my pretty little garden that I've got going on, or that I had going on. Yeah, so I'm back in the cut file, pretty simple process. I'm using the Pink Paisley Horizon collection because it's nice and bright, and it's got orange in it, well, a peachy kind of orange in this collection. And in the photo there's a lot of orange because I've got some dahlias in the dahlias, however you want to say it. I'm going to be corrected. But yeah, I've got a lot of them in the photos, so that I wanted to bring in some orange in those flowers around the cut file. So I'm just going ahead and back into everything. I'm just cutting off little pieces of pattern paper that are large enough to fit each of the bits, and then I am just trimming off the excess. So I don't make you watch it all. It did take me a while. Now this video, I will say from the get-go, it's more of a do as I say, not as I do kind of video, because this was getting rather late into the night, and I knew what I wanted to do, but for some reason my brain just did not want to process, and I did some really stupid things. So we're going to start with this. I wanted to make a shaker pocket on top of my photos, and I wanted my photos to be in each of these letters. So what do? I go and trim out all of the letters. Well, here I am. I tried the pencil first. I didn't want to use a black pen or anything because I didn't want to get black on my cut file. So I decided to, instead of trying to pencil or a pen, I just glue the cut file to it, completely forgetting I wanted to make a shaker pocket. So I glue my cut file to my photo, and I go ahead and I do the P as well. And it's not until I start to put the inside part of the P in that I realised I wanted to make a shaker pocket. So you'll see very shortly. Get ready to start cutting it out. So I'm going to glue this down. Well, I'm about to, and then I go, oh no, I want to make a shaker pocket. How do I do this? So I quickly put that little extra inside piece of the P aside, and it's taken me a wee while to process, and I decide it's already glued down. I will just trim off the excess, which was by far the hardest way to do it. I have the inside pieces of the letters. What I should have done, and I do show you later on as I come back the next day, and I'm thinking far more logically, is use those inside pieces of the letters and pop them on my photo, same with the acetate as well, and just use them as a guide for the shape. It would have been far more easier, but like I said, it's very late at night. I think it got to about 11 o'clock and I was just not functioning. My brain kind of stops functioning at probably about 9:30, 9 o'clock at night. Yep. 10 or 10:30, it's just not working. But anyway, okay, like I said, I want to make shaker pockets where my photos are, and I want to add sequins on top of those flowers, because I mean, while scrapbooking is all about the photos, sometimes it's more about the story. And for me, this layout is a lot more about the story than it is the photos. I will do my journaling when I put the layout away, but yeah, the story I basically want to tell is that spring is my favourite season. So these photos are just like a happy little addition to the layout, I guess. So there we go, I've put my acetate on the back, and like I said, I should have used the inside pieces of those letters from the cut file as a guide to cut it out. It would have made my life so much easier, but I didn't. So I'm still plodding along. It's very late at night, and I've got some adhesive foam. I've just trimmed it into some really thin strips, and I'm going to use that as the walls for my shaker pocket. So I'm just kind of weeding it around the shape of each of those letters. So I'm just doing the G, and then I go on and I do the P as well, just threading it around the shape. I'm just going to finish this one. And I find that if you peel off all of that non-stick backing, it makes it really easy to kind of maneuver it around. So there we go, I've done the P as well. I'm just going to finish off the inside piece. So I'm going to stick that little white piece in place, using the inside letter as a guide. And then I'm going to trim off the acetate, and I'm going to make a little wall around the inside of that P piece as well. I like little details like that, and because I'd already cut the inside of the P out of the photo, I thought I may as well do it for the acetate shape as well. So I'm just trimming off a little bit of adhesive foam, and then I'm going to thread it around the inside of that P, trim off the excess, and then I'm going to fill it with some sequins shortly. I'm just making sure that that blue isn't overhanging where it's super visible. I've just backed the rest of those pieces with some adhesive foam as well, so that I can prop it all up. But I'm going through my sequins now, looking for what I can add, and I decided on the I Love You More Hexaglam and Confetti Burst sequin mixes, because they're really nice and bright and colourful, and that's what I want this layout to be about. So I'm just trying to work out how I'm going to do the shaker pockets, and I've decided it's going to be easy to just fill them on top of the acetate and then pop those photos in place. So I'm just adding a healthy dose of each of those mixes. And like I said before, these photos, it doesn't really bother me if the photos are kind of somewhat covered with sequins. You could definitely do this and add less sequins, but I wanted a lot of colour. So yeah. Okay, I'm just going to do a really nice continuous line of glue around the top of that adhesive, and then I can pop my photo in place, and then I can go on and do the G as well. So just pouring some sequins in, some of the gold ones, and then some of these little tiny hearts. They are so cute. And then I can again do the glue. And then I will put my photo on top. I probably could have cut this out. You've seen it once, haven't you? Okay, there we go. I can just pop my G in place. And then I'm going to leave that overnight with I just popped a couple of ink pads and stuff on top of it just so that it would dry nice and flat. So I did in the morning come back and back some of those letters with pattern paper, but I'm just going to show you how I did the last one. And this is how I should have done the photo in the acetate. I've taken the inside piece of those letters and I'm just using it as a guide, and I'm cutting just slightly larger than the letter. I probably would have ended up going to bed a heck of a lot earlier had I done this. But never mind, that's okay. We live and learn, don't we? So I'm just trimming out the shape. I'm going to glue that inside piece of the R in. And then I can take my little knife, craft knife. I'm just going to cut up against that straight edge, and then I'll use my scissors, my little fuzzy cutting scissors, to trim the rest of that shape out. And there we go, we have an R. So the pattern paper is adhered directly to the cut file. There's no foam in between them, but I do back the pattern paper with foam so that it's the same height as the rest of the cut file. So I'm just manoeuvring it into place, and then I can pick up the pieces and glue them down. Just popping it in place. And then I can continue with the rest of it. Done, and I can add some foam. Now I did also a fussy cut, you can see to the left hand side of that cut file, some butterflies. So I've cut a few out of the 12x12 paper and the 6x8 paper pad just for a bit of colour. And this, I didn't, because I fussy cut these out, and the cut file's so large and bright and pretty, and the sequins as well, they do all the work for you. So I didn't even go diving into my die cut packs or anything for this layout, which I really love. I've really only used paper. I do bring in a couple of stickers, but that's just to kind of add to the title. So I've gone through the 12x12 pattern papers, and these are the options I've narrowed it down to. This blue kind of tile one, a light blue one, a darker blue, or this pink pattern paper, and I end up going with this blue. I really like the blue because the white cut file was really popping off it. For some reason I felt like that pink was a bit too much for this one, but I want to break up that background a little bit, so I'm adding some white Liquitex acrylic ink, just splattering that all around the edge of where the cut file would be, just so that there's pops of white peeking out, just for a little bit of interest. So I'm just going around splattering it around with my paintbrush. And I'm just going to move that to the side because I don't want to smear it everywhere. I'm going to pop A2G tape and glue all over the back of this cut file. And my A2G tape doesn't particularly like sticking to foam. And then I'm going to glue on all those smaller pieces just to make sure it's going to stick. And then I can pick up the whole piece and pop it in place. Press it all down. There we go. Okay, so I can quickly add these butterflies around the place. They're just going to add some pops of colour. Although I did, here I am just having a quick look to see. I wanted to bring in another word or like a banner or something just to emphasise that title. And I found this word happiness. And it was a really lovely pink, nice and light. Made me feel like spring. So that's going to be my title, Spring Happiness. And I quite like that. So I'm just gluing it down and make sure it's going to stick. And then I do find a couple of other pink ones that says, one says in love and the other one says with. So that's kind of adding to my title as well. Just for a little bit of different texture as well. I think that's what I was going for. So I'm going to go ahead and bend all these little butterflies in the centre and just pop glue down the middle of them and glue them all around the page, just on top of the cut file, underneath it. I have some half kind of butterflies that are hanging off the edge of the pattern paper. I don't like to waste them, so you can kind of strategically place them underneath the cut files or on the edge of the paper, like I have done there to the bottom left of that pattern paper. There's no point in wasting them. Okay, so they're all stuck down, and now I'm going to add some sequins on the top just to finish it off, and I'm using the Confetti Burst mix, and I'm just doing a little areas of them around a few of the butterflies. I'm going for kind of a tone on tone. So we've got some orange with the orange, pink with the pink, and so on. I'm also going to add a few of those little gold glitter ones from the hexagram mix. And that's it for my layout. So if you want to get yourself 15% off your next purchase at the SpiegelMom Scrap Shop, use the code Virginia15. I hope you enjoy the process, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.